So the Gauteng government says construction mafias pose a serious risk to government projects. News 24 reported that the spread of the phenomenon from KwaZulu-Natal, where hundreds of projects with billions of rands have been affected. They are said to disrupt work on sites, to extort money from various businesses. But let's unpack this challenge that we're facing, and for that we're joined via our video link by National Project Manager at Business Against Crime South Africa, Roelof Viljoen. Roelof, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is an interesting situation because I think that certainly over the past 3 years we've heard more and more about a construction mafia challenge or problem that is growing in the country. Seemingly it was previously a KZN problem. Where are we now with just how much of a challenge construction mafias are and how they actually hinder projects that are taking place?
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, it might seem that it started in KwaZulu-Natal. The issue with crime is that you only take knowledge of it once it's reported to the police, because then it's recognized. So we don't really know where it started. You only know once it's made known. About as far as I can recall, in 2019, in the State of the Nation address, the state president made it a priority crime, and since then we've been working at specific initiatives of the police, and we became involved towards the end of 2021 when we started operating the National Priority Committee for Extortion.
Yeah.
I must just say it's not affecting construction sites only. It's affecting all business, but definitely during construction there's disruption. The security is not up to scratch because you're working on a site with a lot of movement, a lot of equipment, so it's an opportunity for the criminals to attack.
Yeah, I think we must just sit on the wording that is used for a little bit, because as I do some reading up, I'm hearing that, construction organizations essentially saying that structures that call themselves business forums would arrive on site demanding 30% of the project's value. Now, the reason why I bring that up is because when you use the words business forums, you immediately think of structures that are in place to protect the interests of small to medium enterprises that are in the communities where these construction companies are operating. And yet construction companies, many of them in fact that have spoken out around this issue, are also using the words criminals. So organizations such as WHO concerned about this issue being a crime issue. So how do we differentiate between the two?
Agreed. Yes. Under the Department of Finance, there's an act, the preferential procurement, and the rules that run in with that. And it should only be for government projects where the aim is to look at 30%. Again, it's not a target, it's not the real rule. But the idea is to have local development, specifically with government projects again. So it should not affect private projects. In other words, where the customer, if you have a shopping center development or something like that, it's not part of the preferential procurement structure. But so let's take the legitimate side. The legitimate side is if it's a government project, you shall consult the local community, go to the business forum and look at allocating a target of 30% of the work to the local community. Of course, the purpose of that is to transfer skills, to make the locals skillful so that they can develop their own business. But what now happens is that criminal syndicates, they will attack any construction project and demand that they're the business forum. So they will act as if they're the business forum, even if the business has approached the local community for this kind of opportunities. So that's what happens. The extortionist and extortion is two factors. The one is a demand and the other one is a threat. So if those two are involved, it is a crime under the Organized Crime Act, and it should be reported and be policed as such.
Yeah, one representative of WHO said that they'd been assaulted three times on separate occasions by some of the construction mafia members. So we're seeing this challenge also being one that leads to extreme violence, I believe.
Agreed. In Western Cape, a lady working for the city was killed in a vehicle, very brutally. I'm not going to go into detail. And at the same site, there were workers shot while working. So it is really escalating to a stage where South Africa, our biggest thing is, and that's what the international people say, is we've got a massive high level of violence in our crimes. So yes, it goes up to murder. It also changed if it is realized that the construction site itself is not approachable, is properly controlled in terms of access, then it will move to the office of the business, to the head offices, and change into abduction of senior staff or even their families.
That's terrifying, to say the very least. And ultimately as well, you've got the goals that are set when you've got an infrastructure project, whether it be public or private. I mean, what then happens to some of these projects that then are disrupted, as we say again, by what we call the construction mafia, in how they're able to complete the projects that they've started up?
Yeah, it's that's why it's tempting quite often for this business to just pay. But that's not. I mean, that's not the way with the promo that we would push for, because as with any, you can call it terrorist organization for that matter, or any mafia for that matter. Once you give in, they will come back. They will just keep on taking, because you have actually become part of the problem in terms of that. Just giving in is corruption, even on the side of the business operating the construction site. So, payment is not the easy option. The difficult part is to realize the moment that it happens. That's why we have issued the guideline at the end of 2021, assisting business to identify and report the crime, so that it is identified.
I think there's a lot to be done, obviously, and I'm thinking about whether it be public or private infrastructure projects that communities really are going to be using. You know, I'm imagining what happens when a school is interrupted by what we call a business forum or a construction mafia, then halting and wanting to take away resources that are meant to be there to build for a community to use those resources. What should be done? What do authorities need to be doing to solve the problem that is now becoming a nationwide issue?
As I have referred to the National Priority Committee for Extortion, so it is a cross-functional committee that includes the victims as well. So organizations like Master Builders Association North are part of that, so that at least as a victim and as law enforcement you can work together, so that you can run the crime scene from the moment it happens until it goes to court, and make sure that all the information is correct. But it is a crime that has reported. The problem is that quite often senior political operatives are involved in the local community, so it's fairly difficult, because reporting the crime might expose you to a bigger problem. But it must be reported, and it must be investigated, and it must eventually go to court. So it's all about education of the victim, and then making sure that, I mean, one of the difficulties is that if the construction company would go to the local police station, the police station might be of the opinion that it's not extortion, even though the elements of crime is evident that there was a threat, there was a demand. It's sometimes an issue of getting reported, because the moment it's reported on the police systems, it's the investigation of those cases are escalated to experts. It's not the detectives at the local station that will investigate it.
So this is what we'll do. We're certainly going to look into the different role players in this issue, because it's an important one, because we need infrastructure development to continue smoothly in the country. And we'll leave it there. Roelof Viljoen is National Project Manager at Business Against Crime in South Africa. You're still